Today's episode is brought to you by the Twisted Fork. Eat, drink, and enjoy. Dean Lambert, welcome to the show, my friend.
Good to see you, Kurt.
You are the man with the plan. You're Mr. Big Top, I call you.
I like it.
We're going to start the show by going to let people know about your bio.
Where I came from?
Well, you're from Manchester, New Hampshire.
Yes.
What was it like growing up in Manchester?
It was good. You know, not too big of a town, not too small of a town. Close to the ocean, close to Boston, close to the mountains.
How many hours would you say you would be to downtown Boston from there?
It's about 45 minutes.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's insane. So take it then you were a huge, Patriot fan, right?
Mhm.
Sox,
Red Sox,
Celtics, all that
Patriots.
shit, right?
Yeah.
Bruins.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of, diehard. I mean, down here,
Mm-hmm.
most of my friends are from that area, and all they talk about is the Red Sox. It drives me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever I go to a Tampa Bay Rays game, then the old stadium I used to go to, the Red Sox would come,
Mm-hmm.
and my friend and I would go see all the Red Sox games. And there was more Red Sox fans in the stadium than there were Ray fans.
When I first moved to Boston, the first year I was within walking distance to Fenway Park.
What was that like, man?
It was great, and I'd leave work every day and go down. And at the time, you could get bleacher seats for like $6. So I went to 42 games my first year, just after
You know what's
work.
funny, man? I think everybody has to go to Fenway once in their lifetime, don't you think?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Like I went to Wrigley a few times,
Mhm.
That's like kind of a cool stadium.
Mhm.
Never been to Camden Yards, though, have you?
I have been, yes.
Yeah, I hear good things about that.
Yeah. It's a nice place.
Okay, so you're from the Boston area, grew up with all the great stuff as far as sports. What about concerts, man? Did you see a lot of concerts now, but like growing up back then, whether you go to the Fleet Center or whatever it was called back then, right?
Boston Garden.
The Garden, yeah,
Yeah,
right? There's
yeah.
a lot of shows there.
Saw a lot of shows at Boston Garden, yeah.
And then where's like the premier outdoor venue for that area?
At the time, it was called Great Woods, and then it was like the Comcast Amphitheater. I have no idea what it's called now.
So you're currently the director of marketing or the director of entertainment. Is that safe to say at Big Top?
Yeah, it's director of operations.
Director of operations at Big Top Brewing. So to let our people know that are listening that don't know. So Big Top makes their own beer.
Correct.
To be simple.
Mhm.
And I believe they just started out with the one location, right? Which is on Cattleman.
Yep, used to be on Porter Way, which was maybe a quarter mile from where
Okay.
we are now.
And most recently, they opened up this beautiful location.
Mhm.
It's called the Fruitville Commons.
Right.
People can see it on 75. So when you're going northbound on 75 and you see all these beautiful colored chairs in a backyard, that's the back end of the place. So
Correct.
I saw it get built, and I decided to have my birthday party there. So I got with some of your fellow coworkers and my sisters and I, and we put together my 60th bash, and we had it there.
Mm-hmm.
My birthday's June 7th, and we had it, and a lot of people showed up, and we were in the backyard, and they kept bringing out pizzas and beers. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was oh, and by the way, man, the food there is delicious.
It's really good. Yeah, we hired a group called Tableside that handles
Oh my God,
the food part.
So my
of it.
sisters and I go to those Wednesday night piano jams there.
Yep.
And I know the two musicians personally. They've both been on the show, Chris and Todd.
Mhm.
And we try something different on the menu because it's so delicious. We're always very happy there.
Nice.
So I encourage anybody listening Wednesday night, but you got to make a reservation there.
Yes.
Because it sells out. So that's the restaurant
Mhm.
and the brewery as well. Did they start using that? They have the big tanks there. Did they set them up yet?
They're all set up. We're just finalizing connecting the boiler and the boil water, obviously, and the chiller to chill down the beer. So those are the last two things. So we're hoping to be brewing full operations by the end of October
But right now, obviously, you're brewing at a different location.
up in Lakewood Ranch. Yeah.
Okay, and then you bring in the stuff here because it's going to be cool. Will people be able to see like the process as like they're going to be like people can watch it be made and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We
it's
have
gonna be
big
cool.
windows there that we've had blocked off since we've
Yeah.
opened, and we're definitely going to open those up.
So let's talk about the Cattleman location because that is the rock and roll venue, right?
Mhm.
And that stage has been expanded beautifully. Like you guys put a great deal of effort to make that stage is the biggest stage in the area,
Mhm.
no doubt. And you got proper lighting in there, and you got like a lot of room, and it's a proper venue. And what I want to do is I want to talk about some of the guests that you got coming in October. Is that all right?
Mhm.
So I got the October schedule in front of me for Big Top Live. Once again, it's on Cattleman Road, 975 Cattleman Road. Live music Wednesday through Sunday. So let's talk about some of your ticketed events. Pitbull toddlers coming.
Mhm.
So they're pretty good. They don't come here that often. They used to come to the area lot, years ago, but a lot lately. So that's going to be a great show.
Yeah, it took me a couple years to finally talk them into it, and then when they came down, they said they loved it and immediately booked another show, and I've been talking to Pete, the guy he's the, guitar player, and, they wanna play, like, every 3 months or so,
Is
so
Mike Helta still in that band?
Yep.
So
Yep.
he's a popular radio DJ. So
Yep, in the morning,
he
yep.
brings a lot of people to the event. Then you have another ticketed show the next night, which is October 4th. TL Jenkins, who's a one man machine. I mean, the guy is just he's incredible, right?
It's nuts, 3 hours plus straight, never doesn't take a
Yeah,
break.
got the video screens
Is yeah.
and the one thing I noticed about him is he brings a lot of women because he plays the booty shaking dancing stuff,
He plays everything,
you
but
know.
yeah,
So he has a good dance floor.
yep.
Sliding down the list here. Um, Tyler Farr. I'm not familiar with Tyler Farr. Who is Tyler Farr?
He's an up and coming country guy, I'll fully admit I'm not a country fan. And, so I rely on this guy actually that lives outside of Buffalo, helps me bring in a lot of the country shows. I'm glad he does because a majority of them sell out every
Yeah,
time.
you got to have country. I mean,
Yeah,
um, the rumor has it there was a previous guest here that says you like the hair metal. That's your jam. Is
that
that
was
true?
my thing back in the day, yeah.
um, so talking about variation, dude. Now you got a DJ downtown sound reggae DJ party coming. So that's going to be a different type of music.
Totally different, yeah, I mean, the next month we have the country, Saving Abel, rock band, obviously.
That's going to
Um,
be Thursday, October 23rd. That's a ticketed event. Now, as we're talking about all these events, how do people buy tickets?
bigtoplive.com, everything's on there, or they could go to Eventbrite, but Big Top Live will show you everything and get you right over to
Okay, so they can buy everything online.
correct.
Okay. How many people can you hold there? Like what's your capacity?
The we really don't know the max yet because we try to keep it as comfortably full. The most we've ever sold was about 1,100 tickets, and then there was probably, 50 to 75, comps from the band and our sponsors and, people that beg for tickets like we were just talking about before you hit play, record on this. Um, so I would say if we removed all the tables and just had it standing room only, kinda like Janice, we could get 1,250, 1,300.
Well, I think, people really enjoy sitting down and having a cold beer.
Mhm,
I know when the weather gets a little chilly, which we're all waiting for that to happen, there's a fire pit,
mhm,
which is pretty damn cool.
mhm.
Sitting around the fire, that's awesome. We did a show there for you a couple months ago, and it was so hot. We were right in the sun. You guys didn't realize that that sun comes around when you built that stage, or did you know that? Because it's
W
brutal.
Well, we did, and at the time, we had nice sunshades there, but I don't know if it's the way the wind comes through there off the highway or what, but we've had no luck with keeping sunshades up. It's like we
There
put
is a
them
nice
up.
breeze there. That's the saving grace there is is
It
the sun.
is, but it also kills us for putting up, nice shades to
Yeah,
shade the
the
whole
hurricane
area.
potentials as well. Because you have some professional lighting, you have professional rigging, the trussing.
Mhm,
So you have a real professional looking stage there. Let's talk about your sponsor there. So Hale Law is one of your main sponsors there,
mhm.
right?
Yep, no, they've been great to us, to be 100% honest, if it wasn't for them, the stage wouldn't look the way it did. I mean, they were super helpful and helping us build all that, and they're a great partner for us, they're happy. They have their Christmas parties there, and, so they've really been helpful to us.
You guys specialize in rock and roll and blues. You've had some amazing blues guitarists. We're going to talk more about that. But you also do like you had Tiffany one time,
Mhm.
and apparently like that was a big success,
It
right?
was great, yeah, it's, a lot of those, just brings people back to the '80s and makes
Yeah,
them feel younger
no
again,
doubt.
and she did a great job. She was a lot more rock and roll than what I
Now, did
expected.
she have a full band?
Yeah, yeah,
And
her
was the
husband plays guitar, and, it was not quite what you would see in the old videos, although she played those songs, but it was definitely more rock and roll than what I had expected.
cool? Um, you got the Bird Tribe, which I love. Brian Bird. He was on the show a few weeks ago, man. That guy's great.
Mhm.
He's such a nice, genuine guy, man,
I love the Bird Tribe,
and he's
yeah.
so talented, man.
Mhm,
And, again, I gotta mention this. We're surrounded by talented musicians, dude.
mhm.
There's so many freaking talented musicians here, it's insane.
Mhm.
Am I right?
100%.
I can rattle off 2 dozen guitar players that
Mm,
are just like A-list guys, man.
yeah, and seeing, being able to see them all the time and even put bands together, calling Chris Anderson to play with Brian Bird, or I've had, Damon Fowler playing with Brian Bird, so you mix the pedal steel and the guitar player and it's completely different music.
That's brilliant. Chris Anderson was on the show last week,
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
and, I would if you could help me, I'd love to get Damon when he's in town. I'd like to get Damon Fowler on the show.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
That'd be great.
Yep. He just played at Big Top last Sunday.
Free Falling, the Tom Petty tribute. Now, is that Dana Lawrence's project?
Yep.
Okay, so they're good, and
Mhm.
everybody loves Tom Petty. I mean,
Mhm.
who doesn't love Tom Petty, right? Dovey Das is coming.
Yeah, he called me about a month ago and wanted to put something together and then called me back and we found a date and he's like,
So,
"Let's do it."
does he
So
have his own band, or is he just doing this
no,
crazy
he's got a
solo?
full band. Yep.
Because that guy, he was got famous on YouTube,
Mhm.
and he was known for, like, doing this one-man thing, down in St. Armands, right?
Yeah, right on the
And
circle.
then,
Yep.
I was talking with the new owner of Go Tonight, and she's like, "Yeah, he's the most requested guy on Go Tonight."
It
At
wouldn't
one point.
surprise me. Yeah.
Yeah. I never met the cat. I'd like to meet him. Let's see what else you got. Karen Nally, who's a regular, right? She's your
Mhm.
Wednesday night person.
Thursdays now. Yep.
Thursdays. I thought she
Well,
was
it's Wednesdays sometimes if I have a national come in, but generally they're a Thursday night.
gotcha. And they're a solid husband and wife team, a
Mhm.
solid band, solid players. Blues, little soul, right? Little funk, like they kind of mix it up, right?
They have everything. Yep.
Um, Alana Springsteen. Now, who is Alana Springsteen?
She's a rising country star and she's been getting a ton of airplay around the country and she's just waiting. We've got lucky with a lot of these that get a little bit of airplay and then all of a sudden a month before they show up, they start getting a number 10 hit or a number 5 hit on the country charts. And that's how we've ended up selling out a lot of these country shows.
Now,
Just
the last name Springsteen, are people confused that maybe they think she's
uh,
the boss's
I'm
daughter or something?
sure that everybody asks her if that's her father, and I get that question all the time. And it's as you know, Alyssa's a huge Springsteen fan, which you've had
Yes,
on,
so am I.
and she would have been happy if it's true, but
Yeah.
Bruce is not
Because
her
you know what?
father.
Isn't his real daughter like an equestrian champion or something?
It could
Yeah.
be,
I think his son's a cop too or something. Like he became a
could
trooper or
be.
something. Yeah. So you got Igor and the Red Elvises.
Igor and the Red
Igor.
Elvises, they're fun. They're kind of it's hard to describe. The bass player plays this bass that's almost half the size of this table. And it's a big like flying V
No
type
shit.
guitar, but it's so big that it has a big stick on the end of it, so they can hold it up.
So is
But
it
it
almost
but
like he could play it upright?
I mean it is, but he doesn't play it. He plays it as a normal bass. It's just so big you can't carry it around.
So these guys are fun to watch then.
Yeah, they tour the country, and they come around once a year and they play for us. They it's hard to describe. I mean, he's got accordion. He's got it. It's just fun.
Eclectic, is that a good word to say maybe?
Yeah.
Hey, what about so like you do a Sunday blues thing now,
Hmm.
which is brilliant because you got RJ Housen, who's like obviously one of the best guitar players on the planet. He's there doing it. Is it his show? Is that what
Yeah, he's a majority of our Sundays. I mix it up a little bit with obviously Damon played last week, and I think the week before was JP Soars and Red
wow,
Hots.
damn.
Um, so every now and then, once or twice a month, I'll have somebody else, but RJ is pretty much the guy.
But people that are listening that don't know Big Top Live, they need to know that they're going to be thoroughly entertained because there are some serious guitar players that come through, like Chris Anderson.
Mhm.
You ever book a guy named Sean Chambers?
Yeah, yeah. I had him Sean Chambers Blue Fest last
He's
year.
awesome, dude.
He's
And
great.
he's a personal friend of mine. I used to,
He played in July he played because I know I was in Rhode Island and he did a show for
yeah,
us. So
he goes to Europe a lot, and he's very
yeah,
popular in like Germany. They
yep,
love him.
yep.
So I'm friends with his wife as well, Karen.
Hmm.
And he tells me a story about how they travel with like a real Hammond B3, like it's a very heavy thing, and they got to like transport it. It's a pain in the ass.
I can imagine.
And then like here's another thing that shows you how different you guys are. You're doing a '90s hip hop show on November 1st.
Hmm. That's with Young MC is headlining with the guy also from Third Base and Furious Five. And
So that means that your crowd probably gets a lot younger because
actually no, because most of you would think that, but it's when we had Sugar Hill Gang. and they're more from like the early '80s and stuff. We had Sugar Hill Gang and Furious Five. That's sold out, and I would say a majority of the crowd was between 40 and 60.
Gotcha. Yeah, because that does make sense. So, this is just October.
Mhm.
You wanna highlight some of the future things you got coming November, December?
Yeah, in December, I think December 12th, we have Sister Hazel. That will definitely sell out. That went on sale last week, and I'd say 50% of the tickets for that are already gone. There's a lot of things I'm working on that haven't, been closed up, but bands like, Violent Femmes I wrote again today because that's just a band that I've been wanting for 3 years.
Down, 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 down,
Yeah.
down, 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 down,
And
down,
they come
down,
through
down.
every year, so I've been begging them, and this is the first time that I feel like I have a shot. They,
Yeah, and
they're
you know what's
finally
great too?
talking to me more than they have
Are you
before.
friends with the guys, Marcus and Bert Parsley down in because
Yeah, yeah.
you guys can actually work together because, like, they're so far your venues are so far away that,
Mhm.
like, some people can do both real easy, you know?
Yeah, no, Marcus and, Bert, his brother,
Yeah,
who owns it, came up maybe 2 weeks ago. He texted me, he said, "Hey, I happen to be in town. Are you around?" And I was actually at home, like, having dinner, but, got my car and went down and met him down there. And Bert and I had talked about the same thing, about clearing radius for each other
yeah.
because it's far enough apart.
And then Clearwater, they do things at the OCC, so I know that there's a Burt's there
Mhm.
at the OCC Clearwater, and there's a Burt's, obviously, same owner, down south, so a lot of times they'll send bands back and forth.
Right. So with Marcus, because he's been really nice to me. He's helpful when I was setting up lights and stuff. He's not only plays for JJ Gray,
Right.
but he's also knows a lot about lights. So
He does, actually.
yeah, he gave me a lot of
He
advice, and
does.
you know,
It's funny because I speak to him a lot myself. I promote his place on the show,
yeah.
and we're gonna be talking about him in another episode. But, what's great about your place, man, is just that there's just an energy when you play there, you know what I'm saying? It's just
Hmm.
like it's a fun place. Everybody comes in there with a great mindset. The beer is delicious.
Hmm.
We were just talking about our favorites.
Finhead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Finnet is just one of many
Hmm.
beers that you guys
That
make.
was actually made for Moat Marine. So Moat Marine's opening up, and that's going to be their main.
That's why they
That's
call it
why it
Fithead.
has a Moat. Yeah, Finhead, and it has the Moat
No
logo on it.
kidding.
Yeah,
I always get it right out of the tap, so I never see what it looks like.
yeah. The
Like,
can is blue with the
hey,
Moat
can you
Marine.
buy those? So, like, where would you go to buy beer? Like, does Publix carry it?
Publix, a lot of local Publix will carry it, yeah, but we're in a lot of gas stations, smaller C stores,
But you have cash and carry too. Like, people will come in and buy stuff to
Oh, we
go, right?
sell a ton of packets out of the
Right, right,
door.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
cool, man.
Mhm,
So you can get some beer to take it home.
mhm,
So great. Well, let's talk about you growing up. Let's talk about what kind of music you were into, right?
mhm,
Because you've become this incredible music director, and you're working with all these acts.
mhm,
Some of these acts are national acts. Some of them are regional. Some you get the best of local too. The local bands like the Gas House Gorillas, right?
mhm.
And Jacked Up's honored to be there November 20th.
Yep.
For November 21, we're going to play there. But what were you listening to as a kid growing up?
Uh, my mother was a big Elvis fan, so, a lot of that was always in the background. When I first started myself, I think my first concert was I can't remember if it was the Beach Boys or Blue Oyster Cult, but they were within a couple weeks of each other. And, it was just mostly rock and roll, Rolling Stones from the time I was a tiny kid. I've always loved the Rolling Stones.
Because our first exposure as children, and you and I are almost the same age. Um, it was the radio in the car
Mhm.
as a little kid, right?
Yep.
And then, do you have older brothers and sisters?
I have an older sister, but she lives in Germany, so that she wasn't really around at that time.
Because I heard my sisters and my brother playing their records at a
Mhm,
young age. So I would peek in their rooms, and they would kick me out because I was too uncool. I was a kid.
mhm,
But I used to hear them listening to the Beach Boys, the Beatles, Elton John, um, and then they started getting into like Southern rock and the Grateful Dead. So
mhm,
as the youngest of four, I picked up on all that music. I started inheriting some of their records and
mhm,
stuff. And I think that being a kid in the '70s and having access to a radio or a record player was the greatest thing
mhm.
because I'll fight anybody over this, man. The '70s was the greatest time period for music.
Well,
I know
we
the
had
'80s is great, the '90s is great, but the '70s, man, set the table.
yeah,
Don't
well,
you think?
you had the real big popular bands at the time, like the Stones and Led Zeppelin. I mean,
The
that
Who.
was the Who, all them, and then Kiss came out. I mean, and that really changed my life.
I'm glad you brought that
When
up. You know
Kiss
why?
Alive came out,
I
it
ask everybody
changed my
about
life.
Kiss because and I'm gonna ask you in a second, I didn't mean to cut you off, but Kiss to me is one of the most important American bands on this planet, and you could disrespect them because they're makeup, and you can say it's all flash, but you know what? They set the table for so many bands to come.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on Kiss?
I mean, they're exactly what you said, they to me, they changed it, and people can make fun of them and say that, that it's all about money or whatever else, but they I mean, they're the ones that first had a show. There were a lot like, I'd go see the Stones didn't really have a show back the first time I saw them. It was more just like a big stage with speakers and, a couple of lights here and there, but the first time I saw Kiss, they had a tank on the stage, and, they had stuff shooting out of the tank and, fire, and, they changed everything, and they're it was just fun rock and roll music. It wasn't serious. It wasn't about, you know, politics or
It was about sex. When you think about all their songs are about
yeah,
sex.
and, it's funny, and they're I've met them a few times and stuff, and, they don't I mean, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons don't drink.
Hey, folks, Rocktoberfest is coming to UTC. There's going to be 7 bands on Saturday, October 11th, that are going to be playing all around UTC. There's actually a trolley that's going to go from location to location at the UTC off of University Parkway. This is sponsored by Suncoast Charities for Children, so it's a fundraiser. So I strongly recommend you bring your family because it is a family-friendly event. But these are the bands you're going to see: Downside Up, KGJB, that's the Karen and Jimmy Band. Jacked Up is going to be there. Naughty Girl Band, the Phil Harmonica Band, the Blasters SRQ, and Rear View Mirror, a brand new band out of Apollo Beach that are friends of mine. So again, donations will be accepted and they'll benefit Suncoast Children's for Charity. And I highly recommend you go. Again, 7 bands, 7 venues, one epic night, Rocktoberfest, UTC. We'll see you there. Oh, they
I'm
never did, right? Gene goes on record that he never was
Yeah,
into
I
drugs
mean,
and
I
alcohol.
I worked for them for a few shows, and one of them was a 4th of July show, and part of my job that day was feeding them, and everything had to be kosher food. It's like they were,
No, yeah.
if they weren't big party
I think
bands
I
that you
think I
would think that
think
they were.
when you get to be that age, man, and you wanna keep going, you have to, like, can't be any smoke around you. There
Mhm,
can't be any temptation of drugs and alcohol. The
mhm.
food's gotta be, like, healthy, like, am I right?
Yeah.
Because how do you think they keep going, man? Like, they have to monitor
Mhm,
themselves.
mhm.
But my next question is, how cool was it for you to be a fan of Kiss and then all of a sudden work for them many years later?
It was pretty amazing because it was also not it wasn't like I get to meet a lot of bands now, but it's not quite the same as getting to work for Kiss, back in the early '80s, like when Kiss was Kiss. And, it was cool. I mean, it was definitely
But that was when they, like, didn't want anybody to see them without makeup. Like, they were
well,
very,
this
very
the
strict about that,
when
right?
I was it was right after they, took off
Unmasked.
their makeup.
So it was unmasked
Yeah,
because they came out with a record that was unmasked.
right.
And was Vinnie Vincent in the band back then? And they did the Lick It Up video on MTV.
Yes. Yep.
Unmasked. They had
Yep.
no makeup on, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's what they look like."
Yeah, this was that time Eric Carr was not the drummer, and he's passed away now, but,
Right.
um, yeah, it was cool. I mean, the couple of the shows had, like, LA Guns on it and a band called Balaam and the Angel, which I used to love back then. So it was like a mini festival
So
touring around
you've been in
together.
rock and roll all your life, dude.
That's all I've ever liked,
That's
yeah.
fantastic. You're living your dream.
Mhm.
Do you play an instrument as well?
Uh, I wouldn't say play one. I have some guitars. I can pick up the guitar and play around with it, but I've gotten on stage very few times to play a song. Usually it was with Dana Lawrence, so, that
And
playing a Rolling Stone
he
song.
whispers what chords to play.
Well, I mean, I know all the chords, but if I had to you know, take 2 seconds off just to catch up to him, like he could cover for it because he's a pro.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's great.
So,
So, what are your top American bands? I'm gonna give you mine first. No particular order. The Eagles are on that list.
mhm,
Allman Brothers, and you know this, man, and I tell people this. We're in Allman Brothers country.
mhm.
There are people there, the Betts and the Allmans have friends and family and cousins and aunts and uncles, and it's like, right? Am I right? Like
Yeah.
everybody knows everybody, and
Mhm.
and if a band comes and starts covering some Allman tunes, people come out of the woodwork and start dancing. I mean, there's just a hunger for it.
Mhm.
Don't you agree?
Absolutely, yep.
And in fact, you had uh Susan Tedeschi and Trucks, who I'm going to see. I'm sure you're going to
I
that
got
show too.
tickets, yep.
There was a Trucks girl that played.
Melody,
Melody
yep.
played on
She's
your
played there a
stage.
couple times, yep.
So what's her relationship?
I believe a sister, but I'm not 100%
So
sure.
Butch's daughter, is that Butch's daughter? Butch Trucks'
I
daughter?
believe it's Butch's daughter,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha,
No,
gotcha. Because she was quite talented.
she was great.
And I think didn't she play with the Bird Tribe, or didn't she play
She
wa
played with,
wasn't Brian on stage with her? Or somebody
it
was.
wasn't Brian that night, it was, I don't know why, Brian was in the band beforehand, um, the Lee Boys,
The Lee Boys,
right,
that's right, we talked about that.
and they also have a pedal steel. Brian played pedal steel with them for a couple years,
Yeah.
but he's not playing with them now.
So, Eagles, we said that. Kiss, Allman Brothers, these American bands, right? Um, okay, I'm drawing a blank. Well, who are yours? Who were your tops?
Being from Boston, I was always a big Aerosmith fan.
Oh, I forgot. I can't believe I forgot them.
Um, so as far as American bands, I mean, my top 2 bands are probably not American bands, but
Well,
that wasn't a question.
let's go to that list next. Let's finish the American list.
Um, Always been a huge Extreme fan, again, because Boston, I was able to see
How
them
about
at
the band Boston?
the band Boston. I definitely like them. I never got to see them. I got to see parts of them playing around town, but I've never gotten to see them. And I would I wouldn't say I'm not a fan of theirs, but probably when they were popular is really when I started getting into the '80s hair band rock, and so it's probably just bad timing.
So the Beach Boys have to be on that list.
The
You know
beat
what I'm saying? Because again, they're a trend. They influenced a lot the California
They're
sound
fun,
back
and
then.
when you watch biography movies about them, I mean they were definitely unique and smart, and
But don't you remember like the whole Laurel Canyon scene, like the whole California thing, late '60s, early '70s, all those bands came out of there like
mhm,
Jackson Brown and like, Linda Ronstadt and
mhm,
like, maybe even the Dead came through that area, at some point, right?
mhm.
San Francisco. What about the Dead? Are you a Dead fan?
I'm more of a Dead fan now than I was back then. I did go see the Dead at the Boston Garden when I lived there, and that was, with Jerry Garcia and everything. And at the time, I more went for historical purposes because I just knew, like, I have to see this band because, they're the Grateful Dead and the Deadheads, and, so even though it really wasn't my thing and I would rather go to, a Skid Row, Motley Crue show, the Dead were playing there, and I just felt like I had to go.
Yeah, I mean, because you're a fan of the industry, you're a fan of music, which is great perspective because you're not like, oh, these guys suck. Like you'll see anything, right? And you'll appreciate it, right? The
Yeah,
artistry.
100%.
Like
Yeah.
Springsteen. I love Springsteen. Some people are on his ass now because he's too political, and I don't. And personally, I don't want my politics
Mhm.
in my rock and roll,
I hate that.
but I give him a pass though. I really do. Even though I don't agree with what he does, I give him a pass. Eddie Vedder, I give him a pass because these guys to me, I have so much respect for them. I'm like, all
Mhm,
right, I'll pay a lot for a ticket. I don't want to be lectured on politics, so I kind of like that's when I go get a bathroom break.
mhm.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's, and if you asked me the question 5 years ago or 10 years ago, it changes all the time. I mean, when I go back and think of which bands I are always go-to for me, Black Crowes
Love the Black
always come
Crowes,
I
dude.
saw them a couple months ago. They're
Yeah.
and
So
I got to see him with, Joe Perry
yeah, I was
Project
there.
and
I was at that show in
yeah, it
Tampa.
was a great
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, he's a talented guy. All their songs are good. I can't really think of
The
a
Black
song I
Crowes were the greatest thing that came when they came. Rock and roll was hurting. They came at a time.
Mhm,
These young kids were paying respect to the blues.
mhm,
Otis Redding wrote a great song, and to this day, there are people think the Black Crowes wrote that song
mhm,
because they cover it so well.
mhm,
They kind of make it their own. But so let's talk about the British bands now.
mhm. Well, it'd be Stones and Zeppelin by far my favorite.
So where's the Beatles in that mix?
The Beatles are definitely there. I'm trying to think of what's go-to, like, what do I ask Alexa to play when I'm sitting on the lanai or something like that? And I wouldn't say it's never the Beatles, but it would more be Led Zeppelin or the
Yep,
Stones, or if Alyssa's not around, it would be, Sex Pistols or something like that.
cool,
That's, I like that
cool.
old kind of punk rock
Yeah, yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Like gosh, the Sex Pistols, and then the New York, you had the Ramones, right?
I love the Ramones. Yep.
And then there was a band called the New York Dolls,
Mhm.
they
Seen
were
them many
interesting,
times. Yep.
yeah. Um, I was gonna talk about, let's see, so the Stones, Mick Taylor.
Mhm.
So, when you talk Stones, and if you're really into it, you have to talk about the Mick Taylor years
Mhm.
because the Mick Taylor years to me were the best years.
Mhm.
Those albums that he was on versus the ones that he wasn't. What are your thoughts about him and some of his playing?
I mean, all those old albums, you could put them on and
Sticky
every s
Fingers, right?
they're great. Sticky Fingers
You
is
know?
probably one of the best albums ever.
Yeah.
It's start to finish, there's nothing bad on that album.
Is Moonlight Mile on that one? Or is it on the other one, the Let It Bleed?
I think that's Let It Bleed, yeah.
Because those albums were back to back, right? Because what I do is
I get confused
I
because they have
shuffle
so
them,
many albums coming out.
but I shuffle them. The Mick Taylor years, like I put
Mhm,
it in like a shuffle, so I'm just getting like his stuff,
mhm.
and I just, God, I just love him so much, man. And
But
then
their newest album, Hackney Diamonds, is a great album, and
now you're the
it's
only guy I know that would make that statement. You probably have it, and you probably heard it, right?
it's a great album.
I downloaded it and never like, got around to listening to it.
There's a couple of really, really good
Really,
songs on there, really good
that's good
songs.
to know.
Yeah, and they're actually rocking songs, like upbeat, not bluesy, just straight up
So
rock and
if the
roll.
Stones come to town, no matter what, you'll still go see them.
I have never missed a tour
Okay.
since I could drive a car.
That's great
Mhm,
because I'm one of those guys where I'm like, you know what? I saw him last year. I'd rather take my $500 or whatever I have to pay because
mhm,
it's ridiculously expensive and go see something like the Eagles.
mhm,
I saw the Eagles and I paid a lot of money and it was great.
mhm,
Then people are like, we're gonna go see the Eagles again. It's only like 8 months later. I'm like, I just saw them, man. I'm good.
mhm,
But this, they always put on an amazing show. It
mhm,
blows your mind, right?
mhm.
Did you ever go to the Sphere?
I did. Alyssa and I went to go see Fish there when, I think that was one of the well, U2 is the one, I guess, that band-wise that opened it up, but, to me, if you're gonna go see a show in the Sphere, like, Grateful Dead obviously did a great job there, but Fish has to be the top of the list because 'cause they're so known for their light show, and
Explain to our viewers what the experience is like inside the Sphere.
it's ridiculously amazing is the what I would say because it's got the entire place is speakers. I forget the number, but it's like 300,000 speakers, something like that
You know,
within
like
there.
little speakers that are like all over the
The
ceilings.
whole place is just sound. And then you got bass or subs like in all the seats and the seats move.
So are you like this or are you going like this in the arena?
You're a
Like
little bit of both, and that's the weird thing. Like most concerts, if people want to try to get as close to the stage as possible, they want front row center at the Sphere, you want like section 300 because 300 gives you a view of the
that's
stage
great advice.
and it gives you a view of the Sphere. So you can kind of do what you were just saying, look around, watch the band. I mean, the Spheres I heard the Eagles at the Sphere was great. I had a friend that went to go see him, but the Sphere's not a place you're going to see the band. You're going for the band and the experience.
Right.
It's not.
Plus
It's
you're in Vegas, so there's other fun shit to do outside.
well, yeah, but it's also just it's a completely different experience. Like going to see Fish is great anyway, and getting up close to watch the band is great. At the Sphere, it wouldn't make sense to do that.
Would you say that Fish fans are unique in that they're so loyal and dedicated? Did they come over from where did they come from? Are they the old Deadhead fans or like they have their young fan base that just grew with them?
I think it's probably a good mixture because they're definitely younger than a lot of the deadheads. Um, it's unique because the weird thing about Fish. Have you ever seen them
I've
before?
never seen Fish.
The weird thing about Fish that I learned from Alyssa was every time they play, they generally play 4 shows. Sometimes they'll do 3. Every now and then they'll do 2, but that's super rare. But when you go see them, you go to all 4. You don't
Because
pick.
they don't repeat songs?
They don't repeat the song, and every night's a completely different show. So it's
That's interesting.
it's not like, why would you see like I would get it like AC/DC plays 3 nights at Raymond James, and there's really no need to go 3 nights.
But Metallica,
That was different though, because they
that
did
was
it like Fish did,
that
where
was
it's
crazy,
no
right?
repeat.
Friday night and a
Right.
Sunday night, no
Right.
repeats. I
And
went
they
to
had
the Sunday
different
night.
openers and stuff too. So it was 2 different shows. So
Yeah.
I totally get that. But, Fish is from day 1 to the 4th day, they do 2 sets every night. Basically, you're going to an 8-set show. You go from day 1 to day 4, and it's 8 sets plus encores.
So, are they like the Dead in the sense that it's a jam band, could be hypnotic at times, lots of dancing,
Mhm.
maybe they slow it down every once in a while, and they pick it up. So is it like that kind of experience? Like for someone that's never seen Fish, can you compare it to a Dead experience?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I just, I think, the Fish fans also can think more. Like, I think the difference between the 2 is Fish puts a thought into what they're gonna do over those 8 sets in 4
As
days.
opposed to a drug induced, just jam to like whatever you
Yeah,
feel like.
so all the Fish fans are trying to figure out what are they doing? What's the theme here? And so they kinda put stuff together and they're like, "Oh, well, last night's was water theme because,
Interesting.
every song has something to do with
Yeah,
water."
yeah, that's kind of cool.
So it's a little bit different. I don't think Dead really ever
No,
did
I think
that.
Dead was like either they're too high or they're just perfect.
Mhm,
Like I've seen bad Dead shows, right? Where
mhm,
and I've seen great Dead shows,
right.
and same with the crowds. So where does Dave Matthews fit in all that for you?
Um, Sadly, the only Dave Matthews that I like is, the drummer for Saving Abel.
Now, why is that?
I have no idea why, and, I don't dislike him. I think he's a great musician. I think it was just the timing of it. At the time when he was getting popular, he was like a college band at the time that, I wanted to go see, you know, Skid Row and Motley Crue or Enough's Enough and Poison. So that was kinda, like, pushed off to the side, like, it wasn't my
He was
thing.
selling out stadiums, man. So he did have a
He
huge
still
following. He
does,
still does.
and he's got a following similar to Fish. He's got the DMB fans that follow him everywhere, and for some reason, it's just, there's certain bands that really are my thing, and that just happens to be one of them.
So what's your experience on this? Okay, so like all these great hair bands,
Mhm,
like Rat and Poison, all that fun stuff that we were talking about that we all love,
mhm,
and then all of a sudden the Seattle scene came.
mhm,
Like the Seattle scene was a different scene.
mhm.
Do you think that people got tired of the eye candy and the fun of the one group, and then the Seattle scene was a darker, more depressing, like serious scene? Like it was,
It changed everything overnight.
it did, but how and why?
I think it was probably getting to the point where it was too much. I think it was the MTV era too. And, they were pushing out any band that had, long blonde hair and wear makeup, whether they were good or bad. And I think it just got to the point, like, people were sick of it. And then Nirvana came on and, with Smells Like Teen Spirit, and it was just like something
So
new.
so kids could identify with that more than the other stuff. So
Yeah.
let's say Nirvana's big first album. Would you give credit to Nirvana for starting that movement, or would you say Pearl Jam or Alice? Like who was there first? Soundgarden?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to say it has to be Nirvana only because of the MTV era.
Because he's gone on record in his writings saying that he didn't want to be like he didn't want to be that guy.
Mhm,
He became the guy that he didn't want to be. Like he
mhm,
made fun of rock stars, right?
right.
But but why do you suppose so many people gravitated to that sound? Because
I think it
you
was
think
just a
the
good
lyrics were more meaningful to them, perhaps, maybe.
I think it was just, one, it was still kind of that same
It was
rock and
cool.
roll, and it was just, it was a difference that people just needed a change because at the time, it was like anything else. Everything coming out was like the same song.
Same bubblegum shit.
Yeah, and people got sick of it,
So that first Pearl Jam album, dude, do you remember that with the first time you heard the first
It
Pearl
was
Jam?
it was amazing.
It was almost a life-changing moment for me. I was in Chicago, and I was in, like, a dance club, and there was, like, a separate room that was a rock room.
Mhm,
So, the bartender there put on that album, and me and my buddies were sitting there because we got sick of the other room, and we're listening to something I never heard before, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?"
mhm,
It was like a wow moment for me,
yeah.
dude.
No, I got lucky enough, there was a club in Boston, right, uh, over the on the other side of the Green Monster, and it was called Access. It was just a rock club, and I booked a band that used to play there all the time, and they were practicing that night, and me and this one guy is like, "Hey, this band, Pearl Jam's playing down at Access, you wanna go?" And we knew the people at the door, so they let us in, and it wasn't fully packed, it was busy, but it wasn't, like, sold out or anything like that, and it's just a club. So we're just sitting back there, grabbed a beer, watching Pearl Jam, and I remember it to this day, and I tell the story all the time. Somebody near the front row got violently sick, drinking too much or whatever, and the crowd just dispersed. And I looked at my buddy, and we're both wearing boots. We were living in Boston. It was probably cold out that night, and we're just like, screw it. We just walked right up to the front and stood in the
Sure.
puke and watched Pearl Jam with
Yeah.
like nobody in front of us. And
I
it
would have done
was
the
it
same
was
thing.
it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, Seattle scene, like, the other bands, Alice in Chains, right?
Alice in Chains was great. I've only seen them once with the original singer, and they actually opened up for Guns N' Roses at the Orpheum in Boston when Guns N' Roses wasn't Guns N' Roses. So That was a great show, Alice in Chains and Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, I can imagine. Metallica also, first time I saw them in Tampa, I just was blown away. I'd never seen them before.
Mhm.
Were you at that show too?
No, I don't think I was living here yet.
No, 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 the Metallica and Raymond
Oh,
James, not too
recently, no,
yeah,
I
yeah,
did
yeah,
not go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about your top shows of all time, because most people, that's a tough question, but I bet you already know what they are. You're gonna just rattle them off.
Yeah, there's 2 different types of shows. There's the ones like I just said, Pearl Jam, so it's the one you're lucky enough to be at.
Like, it's like seeing a young Eddie Vedder with that
Yeah,
unique
like I
voice.
saw Guns N' Roses play at the Paradise Club. There was 200 people there.
Did you ever live in LA or experience LA?
I didn't.
Because
I almost lived there. I went out there for a 10-day vacation when I was maybe 21, 22, and I purposely missed my flight and I almost stayed.
I
And
lived there for 1 year. In
mhm,
1990, I lived in Santa Monica,
mhm,
and I used to go up and down the Sunset Strip, and that was the end of the hair metal era, like, because
mhm.
the other scene and, the poor kids were out there in the street selling their tickets in advance because the rule was, like, Gaspari's and all these cool places, man, you couldn't play unless you bought the tickets in advance and then resold them, so it
Yeah,
was on the bands.
yeah. Mhm,
So the owners were like, "Screw you, you wanna play here, give me the $3,000 or whatever," you know
mhm.
what I'm saying? So some kids were successful with it, but I remember seeing rock stars in front of Tower Records, like real rock stars, like trying to like, sell tickets.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Mhm,
And then the Rainbow Room was always a fun place to eat, you know?
mhm.
I'm sure you did all that tour stuff, like you went
Oh,
to the whiskey
absolutely. We
whiskey a
just
go
went
go.
out there in, what was it, April, I think we went to go see Fish at the Hollywood Bowl, but we, walked by
Oh,
all
the
the
Hollywood Bowl, it's a strange place. Hollywood Bowl is cool because we're sitting there, I'm watching Joe Bonamassa, and, like, they're coming up and they're serving people wine and cheese, and it was like everybody had a basket and everybody was proper. It was like it's a weird scene there. It's, like,
Mhm,
very chill,
mhm.
the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah, they got a restaurant right in the middle of us. You can, like, show
Yeah, the
your
seating,
ticket.
like, there's, like, the little things you get in
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can fit 4 people in,
And
you
we
know?
went for 4 nights, so the people that we were with, like, became our best friends.
Yeah, 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 and people are sharing food,
Yeah, it
and
was
stuff.
great.
It was pretty cool. But, so
So
one of my favorites of all time is
mhm,
Joe Bonamassa,
mhm,
and it's hard for me to describe him. I say sometimes he's Clapton on steroids,
mhm.
but he's more than that. The guy's brilliant. I mean, he's one of the most brilliant, thoughtful guitar players. Every note, he makes every note count when he
Mhm.
does. Have you seen him live?
I have not
Oh,
yeah, I saw him at, Jazz Fest. Yeah.
he's coming to the Van Weasel,
Mhm.
not the Van Weasel, which I got yelled at for saying once.
I missay it all the time.
But you also catch him like up in like the cool thing about living here, dude, is like we can go to Ruth Eckerd, we can go to Bay Sound, whatever they call that thing. There's other venues now. Like it's like I love it, man. I love going up to St. Pete, you know.
Mhm,
Even occasionally I'll go to Janice.
mhm.
I saw the guy that sings Autumn Rains, Autumn Rain. What's that guy's name? Marcus King.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw Marcus King there, and we had the thing that sucks about Janice is you have to stand the whole time unless you
Mhm,
like get the suites. So we're standing the whole time waiting for Marcus King to come on, and you can move around. And Marcus King came on, and he didn't disappoint, man.
mhm.
That guy is from I think he's from South Carolina, and he's just amazing,
Yeah, he's good.
you know. So I guess to my point is that there's a lot of venues here.
Yeah,
You see,
that's why it's hard when you ask it my top 5 ever. I mean, show-wise, it kinda is based on venues and the whole experience, like Tedeschi Trucks at Red Rocks,
Tedeschi
Prince
Trucks.
in Vegas. The first time I saw the Stones, I, remember that clearly because it was just like the Stones, first time seeing
Here's
them.
a good question for you. What was one show that you were thoroughly disappointed in that you were like surprised to be disappointed?
I think it was also the time I went to go see Alice Cooper and Dio on Halloween, and for some reason in my head and my age at that time was thinking, what could possibly be better than seeing Alice Cooper and Ronnie James Dio on Halloween? Like something big is gonna
Yeah,
happen.
sure.
And what happened was they just played a show that they played the night before, and they played the night before
Nothing
that.
exciting.
I mean, it was a great show, but it was just disappointing because I expected something big on
Yeah,
Halloween, and
right,
it was
right.
like
Like
nothing
New Year's
happened.
Eve. Everybody thinks New Year's Eve is gonna be the greatest night of the year, and it's just any other night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was kinda one of those things.
I saw Motley Crue. They were doing a residency in Las
I
Vegas, and
s when was
they
that?
disappointed me. Oh gosh, it was a while back. I can't remember,
I went to that first
but I was
residency out
disappointed
there.
because I think
It
the,
was
the speaker
horrible.
got blown or something, and halfway through.
Yes, I was at that show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I went with my buddies Chris and George. We went out
Yeah.
there, and it got even more disappointing because after the show, we went to this little bar right out there, and all of a sudden security guards came and they were with Vince Neil. And Vince Neil sat down with a couple of girls next to him. And we went to like take a picture. And the security's like, no pictures. Like he was even, it's like you just sucked at the show and now we can't even take a picture. It's like,
I met Vince Neil twice, and, one time he was lit. He was so damn wasted. He was asking me for something that I can't repeat on the show, if I can help him get something. I was like, "Yeah." But, in any event, here's my next question. This is a good one. What are your thoughts on your heroes, man, that are still performing where you clearly think they should hang it up? For an example,
Vince Neil.
David Lee Roth. I love David Lee Roth, Diamond Dave, man.
Mhm.
He was my idol growing up. He had everything, man. I was like, "I wanna be like David Lee Roth." And then, like, now he's like, I'm like, "Dude, please retire. Please stop."
There obviously has something in them to make them feel like they have to do this or that's all they have to live for. And, kind of the Aussie thing was kind of the proof of it, except Aussie didn't do it to embarrass himself. He did it in a really kind of classy
Because
way.
he had a proper management team that probably made sure that
Yeah, and these guys,
he
you're right. It's like they're to the point where they just shouldn't be doing it. I mean, you listen to some of I told you I saw Guns N' Roses at the Paradise. I've seen Guns N' Roses, probably 20 times in my
Have you seen
life.
the new version?
I won't. I literally if they played Van Weasel, then what'd you call it?
Weasel.
Van Weasel this week and somebody gave me a free ticket, I'm not sure I'd
Okay,
go. Not because I
why is
don't
that? Tell me why that
because I
is.
would be disappointed, and it's not Guns N' Roses.
So what you're saying is even though Axel's still there and Slash.
But is it really Axl? Now I don't know. He doesn't look like him. It's not the Guns N' Roses I
Yeah, yeah.
remember.
And you're right. I mean, you're 100%.
Slash, on the other hand, I saw him up at the Bayside, and when he did his blues thing, and Slash is still amazing, and I kind of feel bad for Axl, but he should hang it up. I mean, it's not Guns N' Roses anymore.
You know who hasn't aged at all, man, and he still sounds fantastic is Sammy Hagar.
He's almost 80.
But the guy still sings, he still runs around the stage.
He
He
deserves that still.
he drinks
Yeah,
shots of tequila because
yeah.
he's got his liquor companies that
Hmm.
he now I think it's rum or whatever that he's doing. But, he always puts on a great show, man.
Yeah. And he was one of those guys that at the time, I didn't want to like him at all because, I love Van Halen with David Lee Roth. So Sammy Hagar just kind of pissed me off and I didn't
So
want to
you were
like
one
him.
of those guys then.
Oh, yeah,
You were Team Roth
of course I was.
because I actually became Team Hagar, was still respecting Roth because the songwriting got better, the albums got better, there were more hooks. Like Sammy Hagar is a songwriter. David Lee Roth probably just wrote really cool lyrics,
Hmm.
and his stuff was about like cool, like devil shit, and
Hmm.
Sammy's is more about love and like
Yeah, but
happiness.
you see the thing that I agree with you now 100%. But at the time, I didn't want keyboards in my music for one. I wanted just guitar, bass, drums, and vocals. That's what I wanted. Keyboards just annoyed me in that kind of music. So not only did Sammy Hagar come and push out David Lee Roth, who was my Van Halen, but all of a sudden there was all these keyboards. And I know they introduced it on the album before
Right.
that,
With
but
Jump.
not fully. Yeah, with
Yeah.
Jump. But it annoyed me, but I let it had a pass. But then it became too much for me. So it was like Hagar and too much keyboards. That's not my Van
Okay, that's fair.
Halen.
But you must have been miserable then when Rush came out in the '90s with the heavy keyboards because Rush started out as a power trio,
Hmm.
just the three guys, and they're the best at what they do,
Hmm.
no doubt. And then Geddy started doing more and more stuff with foot pedals. Then he started doing more keyboards on stage. Then Alex Lifeson went on record saying that there was one record that he couldn't believe how much keyboards took over and synthesizer, and he was
Hmm.
upset about it.
Yeah, and I get it
And the
now.
fans didn't buy it,
Hmm.
and the tours they suffered.
Yeah, and I get it now. I mean, piano keys, it's a great filler for bands, and a lot of bands just don't sound good without them. I think the part I don't like is when it's a major part of the song. I think it should be, more of a filler. It can have its solos and all that, but it's when it's too much of a song. Back then, especially, it's when I just didn't like it.
So then what are your thoughts on bands that use tracks? I have two thoughts. If it's done tastefully and lightly, fine. Like for
Hmm.
an example, some bands want to play "Don't Stop Believing,"
Hmm.
so they'll have a recorded piano part because they don't have a piano,
Hmm.
and they're only going to do that song. That's the only part required. But what do you think about bands that have heavy tracks where perhaps maybe like Motley Crue, we come back to them again.
Mhm.
A lot of their stuff was recorded,
Mhm.
and I think it might say in fine print, some of this might be recorded so
Mhm.
they can like can't get sued. But now you're seeing Nikki Six, and he's not necessarily playing his bass. You're like, what the fuck, right?
It becomes too much, and I get exactly what you're saying there. You know, it but there's also a part, especially when it's in Vegas or something like that, that, you wanna go and you wanna go see these bands again, and they can't sing the way they could sing. They're not 20, 25, or 30 even anymore. So, I kinda get it. When it starts getting into the bass and the guitar,
Yeah, that's laziness. I'm a
that's
bass player, and when somebody can't play his bass and he's got to play to a track, that's just laziness.
right. So, the vocal part, adding backup vocals, adding, a little bit of keys in
Right.
there, I have no problem. But
Yeah.
when it comes to
Yeah.
the, guitar and bass or drums, it's like you got to be able to do that.
No doubt. No doubt. Do you have any plans to go back to Vegas anytime soon, or any travel plans?
Um, Nothing music wise. We're definitely looking to do something because that's kind of what we do is, go on vacation to see a
Well,
band
I
somewhere.
think as
Probably,
many
I would say that right now the chances are because we're gonna be so close to New York, we'll probably go see Fish at MSG
but
for New
isn't it
Year's Eve.
is it your girlfriend
Mhm.
sees more shows than you have, I think, in her lifetime.
She definitely hasn't seen more shows than me. She's definitely seen more Fish shows than
Maybe
me.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
But when you guys are the perfect couple because you just love live music. So when you guys met and started dating, with like, is that what the attraction was? Like you both just like love rock and roll to a point?
I'm sure that helped a lot, because that's where we met was probably, watching a show at Stottlemyre's. Actually, I met her at Stottlemyre's when I used to book all the bands there. But at the time she was married and, I was married and, 4 years later, she's not married, I'm not
There you
married, and
go.
that's when we met.
It's a
Well, not
beautiful thing.
met, but that's when
But
we
but looking at your Facebook pages,
mhm.
and you guys are always say, "Hey, we're at this concert," or "Hey, we're at this concert." Like you guys travel well together.
We travel great and, I could literally on my way home, buy airline tickets and a ticket to a 3-day festival in Nebraska, and she would pack and be ready to go
So do you
tomorrow
have to
morning.
like you keep a planner, and like you have a calendar in front of you and you got the whole year like I'm gonna be here in this in like are you planning it out, or is it like spur of the moment like holy shit, Joe Bonamassa is coming, let's get a ticket, boom.
No, we'll plan the big ones, like, we've been to Jazz Fest a couple times and, at some point that always kind of falls around her birthday. So I know we're gonna be at a music festival somewhere in the country or world at the end of April because that's what we do every year. And so, it's been Jazz Fest a couple times. I think last year was Hollywood Bowl, I think, when we went
Cool.
for that. So yeah, we do some planning, but I definitely don't need to plan it as long as I know if I call her boss up or whatever and find out she can have a couple days off, she would leave in a second. It's,
Cool.
it's not there's no pressure
That's
there.
fun. That's a
Yeah.
lot of fun. So what do you do in your leisure? What are your hobbies and interests outside of rock and roll, booking bands, going to see bands?
Um when I'm sitting at home and nobody's around, that's usually when I'll pick up the guitar so nobody can hear how bad it is. Um, I mean, I love going to the beach, not for long periods of time, but I like, driving down to the beach, hanging out in the water for an hour or so, and then, walking around in town if it's siesta or going to grab lunch. I have a motorcycle that I don't ride nearly enough, especially this year because it's been so hot. I haven't even thought of getting on it. And, I mean, it's mostly relaxing. Yeah.
Aren't you a golfer as well?
I love golfing and I don't do it enough. I did play Sunday though, so 2 days ago.
Yeah,
Did a
occasionally I see you on Facebook, you're hitting with Lawrence, Dana Lawrence. You guys are
Yeah,
going out together.
Dana's the one who usually drags me out
Because
and
you guys are from like he's from Mass, you're from New Hampshire, like all those guys, Karen Nally. Like
yep.
there's a whole group of people down here that are from, Dana Bienvenu, DCX, she's from up there.
Mhm.
There's a whole bunch of people that live in that area and that live in Sarasota now.
Yeah, because the weather up there sucks.
So my next question would be, what do you love the most about Sarasota? Like what's
I mean, by far the weather is the reason I'm down in Florida, but as far as what I love about the Sarasota specific area is there's always something to do. It doesn't it's you have the beautiful beaches, obviously. You got, great restaurants
We do
and
have good restaurants here.
and it's i- a lot of good
There
places to see music.
there's a
There's
nightlife, there's a culture. I mean, some people will say that the music scene used to be better. Some used to say it's better now. But as I mentioned earlier, I like that we're a hop, skip, and a jump to St. Pete.
hmm
My company has the headquarters in Tampa, so I'm up in Tampa a lot now,
hmm
and it's fun to go explore new neighborhoods and new bars and restaurants, right?
hmm
And what's funny too is like we're an older market. Sarasota is an older skewing market, right?
right.
50 plus, more or less. I mean, you'll see 30s and 40s, but mostly 50. But then you go to St. Pete
hmm
and you'll start saying that you remember, oh yeah, all these are all the post college kids are here now, like all the
hmm
20s and 30-year-olds,
right.
and they're drinking beer and they're having a great time,
hmm Yeah. No, St. Pete. We actually went up there. Um, Maybe 2 or 3 months ago, just to kind of get out of Sarasota. Every now and then it's like you can, as much like you said, Almond Brothers are your top bands, and I love the Almond Brothers too. I love listening to people play their music, but every now and then it's like I don't want to go to a bar or a music place down here because I've heard those songs 1,000 times. Like I need a break from it. So, and you go out to St. Pete and you hear a little bit less than that. And they kind of have a different scene. Yeah.
I think you mentioned this earlier. You could put together a really cool band. Like you can find a good drummer, you could have your fantasy bass player, your fantasy guitarist, and you could do that and put
hmm
together something. That'd be cool, man.
And I've talked to Dana about that before, and actually I've talked to Frankie Lombardi about it because I think the one thing people can say that the Sarasota music scene is great, which it is. There's great musician, which there are, but there's almost no good rock original bands. There are a few, but not enough.
You
You
know
know,
why that is? Because we're all paid well to be cover bands,
and
and that's
and I
what people
and,
want.
and I get that,
People want that.
but that's what I miss about Boston most.
Look at Bobby Schneck, greatest guy on the planet, most talented guy on the planet, super, super nice guy. But that cat, he's working every day. I mean, he's doing doubles. He pulled a triple one day. I saw him. I thought he was going to
hmm
pass out.
hmm No, Bobby's great. And I've actually said to him even, he's good. All of his bands are really good bands and good talent, and they sound great. But I just, if one of them could just maybe even just play a little bit more of rock and roll that we're not hearing everywhere. So it doesn't even have to be original. It can be covers, but
Obscure covers, right? Like covers that are
obscure or just bands that aren't the same bands that are being played everywhere. Like Bobby will throw like, Cheap Trick in there.
or some
Eh,
Skinner song that you
eh,
haven't heard in a while.
yeah, or just something more, rock and roll. Like not like the '90s bands are all great. I love the fact that there's a few new '90s bands out there just playing '90s rock, which is great. But why not have a band that plays some, good '80s rock and good '90s rock,
That's what
some
we're trying.
2000
That's what
rock?
we're trying to do.
Yeah, just something, and you know not have a Journey song or an Allman Brothers song, or like you don't need to have that. Like let's have a couple nights, couple bands that
Yeah,
don't
or
put that in
perhaps
there.
so to your point, there's a list of songs like Brian Adams, Tom Petty. There's certain songs that every bar plays, every bar band
Every
plays,
band plays,
right?
yeah.
So, and we know this, so we're trying to eliminate that. Like, if you're going to do Journey, they do separate ways.
Mhm,
Well, no, let's do something different from Journey. Let's do, a more obscure song.
mhm,
We're doing Heart. So, to your point, is that we're a band that is conscious of that, and we're trying to weed out the songs that we've been playing for a while, and we place them with new ones that are obscure,
mhm.
so they'll be new to the audience.
Yeah, because I mean, I get emails every day from bands saying, "Can I want to book there?" Or they'll say, "All of our friends are telling us that we should be playing there," whatever it is, and they send me videos, and they're good. I would say 90% of them are really good, solid bands. I would say 85% of them, I could play you 5 videos in a row, and you would say they all sound good, and you would tell me you wouldn't be able to know that they're different bands because
So,
they're all the same songs. They have their little, where they show bits and pieces of their set to kinda show me
like an
and show
EPK.
whoever, yeah, and, they're all "Don't Stop Believing," this song, this song, this song. I go to the next band, it's the same
Right.
songs. It's
So
like
what advice could you give now? So people that want to book, they want to play Big Top Live, which is probably you've created one of the premier venues in the
mhm.
area. There's no doubt. What advice can you give them? Like let's say they're an up and coming band and they want to go to the next level.
I mean, honestly, the part that bands don't understand is there's 8 nights a week that are the key nights. Friday, Saturday, 4 of them, the 4 weekends a month. So
Correct.
So there's 8 slots, and there's hundreds of bands wanting,
Competing.
and not just for here, Stottlemyre's, Woody's,
Yeah, man.
wherever it might be. So some of them get angry because, they're like, "I've been writing you for 3 months and you blah, 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 blah." And there's not a lot of openings. It's not, and I try to mix it up. I don't have the same. The one band that plays every month on a weekend day is Dead Set. It's the only one out of all of them because it's completely different. It fills the place up once a month, so it's like a dead night, and they happen to be one of the better, Grateful Dead tribute bands. So I worked out a deal with them that, they kind of don't play the area except for Big Top, and I give them one show a month,
Cool.
and it works out great. The other bands, they find it that, or think that I'm disrespecting them if I say, well, I don't have a great budget, but if you want to play on a Wednesday, I can give you a Wednesday. And some bands are like, great, what's the budget? I tell them what the budget is. And it might be less than what they're normally get. But it's all I have right now.
Sure.
And if they bring in a ton of people and it's a great show, all the bartenders tell me these guys are great, bring them back. Buffy and the Slayers is one of them. They're from St. Pete, I think. They came in, played a Wednesday. They actually told me we'll play for free the first time. They came down from St. Pete. I paid them some money
That's
anyway. I
aggressive,
wouldn't do
yeah.
that. And everybody has something good to say about them. So then something opened up the next month, and I call them. I'm like, "Do you want this Friday?"
So they earned it.
Well, not only did they earn it, but they weren't disrespected because that's all I had to
Right.
offer.
So the lesson here to the viewers would be like, look, don't be afraid to play a Wednesday or a Thursday.
Yeah, and
Doesn't have to be a Friday or Saturday. And don't be so hungry. Like I remember when we used to make $200 as a band, $300 as a band. We paid our dues. We went through that.
mhm.
And some bands shouldn't realize that that's what it takes to play. Is that don't be so afraid of the money. Like don't let money prevent you from getting live experience.
Yeah, and it's not meant to be, the only other option is I'm booked out through January. So it's like I might have something in February. I can give you this date, but if I work with a bunch of talent agencies for the national acts, and if I've been going after Blackberry Smoke, so if I give you February 28th, in July of
Right.
25, so it's 7 months out, and Blackberry Smoke tells me, that we can do it, but it's gotta be on this date.
Right. You gotta,
I
yeah,
have
sure.
to call
Oh,
you and say,
no,
"I
no
can't
doubt.
do
No
it."
doubt. No doubt.
You know?
You know what they do with us at Twisted Fork, which is brilliant. So he uses us to open up for these big acts. So like
Mhm,
we're opening up for an AC/DC act. So what he'll do is he'll say, okay, we're gonna move you around, and I'm gonna call you when I need you. So like he's putting me on Fridays and Saturdays, but we're like the 6:30 to 8 band, which we love that
mhm,
because we get to play in front of a crowd that we never could have gotten ourselves,
mhm.
and he pays us well. So
Yeah,
it's fun,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, so that's the advice would be, 1, I'm not disrespecting you, and 2, there's only really 7 slots a month on the
Right.
weekend, and there's 100 bands, you just can't have every single one of them.
Okay, so folks, you've heard it here. Dean is not disrespecting you.
I'm not.
So if he doesn't return your email, don't be upset.
I try to return emails. I
So
def
just to wrap up the show, let's just talk about Big Top Live and Big Top in general.
Mhm,
So people can go online to see what's coming up. So how would they, if they want to see the bands that I just mentioned earlier,
mhm.
how do they find out? Was it Facebook? Is there a website? Like where do you list
Yeah, I
this
mean,
stuff?
we put it all on Go Tonight. We have, obviously, our webpage, bigtoplive.com. We post every event on our Facebook page. I don't do Instagram much, but I'm sure our marketing person posts our monthly schedule up there.
Do you guys do like like a mailer, like you can opt in, like the restaurant will send you
I do
things?
I do emails. I just sent one out before I came here today, kind of showing, what's the bigger shows coming
That's
up for the
smart.
month. So
But people can subscribe to that, like, because I'm toying around with that idea for my podcast show here, where it's like I put out this mass email, then you let people have the something monkey, survey monkey, or
yeah,
something,
yeah.
and then they have the ability to either opt in or opt out.
Mhm.
You know,
Well, I think for email it's Mailchimp.
Mailchimp.
Yeah, yeah,
Right, right,
because
right.
SurveyMonkey is to actually it is a program, but it's to create surveys, so it's close. You could send a SurveyMonkey survey through Mailchimp.
All right, Dean. Well, listen, thanks for coming on, man. You're doing a
Thank
great
you.
job. You know, you're bringing a lot of really good music to this area. People really appreciate that.
I
So keep
appreciate
up
it.
the great work. It was great having you on the show.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Appreciate it.
See you.
Yep. Bye.
Hey, so Dean, everybody on the show gets a
Mhm,
parting gift. So I didn't know if you were a hat guy or a shirt guy. So some people like the bright yellow shirt because it's good for the beach
mhm.
and it's good on your motorcycle that people can see you. and other people are more hat guys. They want to go with the jacked up hat. So I'm going to give you a choice.
I'm gonna go with the shirt.
There you go, man.
All
Enjoy
right.
it.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you.
Appreciate it.